Welcome.
Thank you, Gabby. Ladies and gentlemen, and boy and no girls. Special welcome tonight from me. I am Murray Farrell, and tonight I want to share my thoughts with you on grandparents, sex, religion, health, and medical science and the advances in medical science. Now, how many of you here have living grandparents? No one. Only one person.
Only one person. Special.
How many people have never met or spoken to a grandparent? Okay. Anybody else? Well, I should have put my hand up because I have never spoken or met a grandparent. But today is a special day. 25th of October 2017. Today is the 70th anniversary of the death of my last grandparent. That was before I was born, so I never had an opportunity to meet him. He was Alexander James Hurtle Casey, born in 1885 and died in 1947. And contrary to popular belief, people believe I was born in the 1940s. That is not correct. But what is it about this gentleman, besides being a grandparent? He was 61, and if he had have survived another night, he would have been 62. And what a young age for someone to go. Why? Why did he die so soon? Well, I believe from the research I've done over the years, it was an inherited heart disease. So sadly, he died. And he was a widower. His first wife died at age 32 in 1920. And what did she die from? No, it wasn't typhoid, but it was something that kills elderly people today. And that is pneumonia. At 32, she died of pneumonia. And in that 12-month period, my grandfather went from having a family of 5, 2 boys, 2 girls, and a wife, to having 2 daughters. Because the 2 boys also died in that 12-month period. A lack of medical technology. No antibiotics, never heard of. No vaccination for pneumonia. You're kidding. Yeah. So that was pretty bad news. And on the other side, so that was my mother's side of the family. On my father's side of the family, 1938 it was, my grandmother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And seriously, in that year, it was a death sentence. But she was sent to Melbourne. They lived in Mildura. She was sent to Melbourne to undergo medical treatment. But what happened? This is where the religious bit comes in. They joined a newfangled fundamentalist religious sect there. And come to Melbourne, they stayed with some members of the sect, and the man's wife, Mrs. Clack of East Melbourne, said, "We don't believe in treatment and going to the hospital for breast cancer. The treatment is cold compresses and prayer." And guess what happened? She died. Yes, she died. From age 46, she had 7 children, and the youngest one was about 5, and they were all aged all up to about 24. And my dad at that time was 20, and his eldest sister was 22. She was the one who was providing the cold compresses. And today, my aunties who were never there because they were too young say, oh no, we never believed in that. That was not part of our teaching. Well, I'm sorry, it was. So that's how I believe religion accelerated the death of my grandmother. But sure, she was against the odds. And what about my grandfather? 53. So he was a few years older than her. He was so stressed out that his God had forsaken him. What had he done wrong? He lived a zealous life, or the life of a zealot, and he was so stressed out about the circumstances that he found himself in. A widower with 7 children, and his God had abandoned him. What happened to him? High blood pressure, a stroke. Another one, who knows how many more. But I can tell you this for a fact. The last stroke he had was fatal. I know that for a fact. How old was he? 53. So I want to say something to you. If you have grandparents, and you have, well, yeah, many of you have, and you haven't spoken to them for a while, I suggest you make contact with them. Go and visit them if they live locally. Call them if they are overseas. What is it? There's Viper, WebChat, Snapchat. I believe there are many grannies who are really with it with technology. So I'm urging you to call them, because there's nothing that gives a grandparent greater pleasure, and that's hearing from their grandchildren, entertaining their grandchildren, spending time with their grandchildren, and basically enjoying their company and passing on their philosophy and wisdom. So that's my message. If you haven't been in contact with your grandparents, give them a call. Tonight, if you go home and they're still awake, tomorrow if they're not. And as for the sex, I'm sorry, I lied about that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. May you take away the wisdom of Murray.
Thank you. Thank you.